The video gaming industry is actually influencing quite a lot of different other industries at the moment, so films, books, fashions as well. So we've seen recently that Final Fantasy characters are being used to model like Prada campaigns. But there's been a recent move to a few more extreme, a few more realistic examples as well, which has really showed how sophisticated sort of an experience that we're looking for. Historically, I guess if we look back to titles such as like Doom and Quake, and they really defined a genre in gameplay, and it was very fast-paced, sort of quite gory gameplay at points as well. But that really kind of put a mark in the sand, I guess, in terms of what the games that people are trying to beat. So ever since then, games companies have tried to get bigger and better titles with more explosions in, that type of thing. And the quickest way, I guess, in terms of making those more enjoyable experiences and more immersive was making the graphics even better. But that kind of left the story behind a little bit, the gameplay, so it still left you playing with a bulletproof character and you were dodging these massive Hollywood explosions everywhere, and it lacked an element of realism that kind of needed to catch up. So as we think like to Jason Bourne and that kind of the whole trilogy that came out of that, it's a lot more cerebral, a lot more sort of thought going into the plots, into the protagonists in those as well, and that's something that we're starting to see in games. It all started really with a title called Halo that came out over about 10 years ago now. And the producers of that game really thought about the realism of the actual experience. So the graphics were amazing and they were sort of second to none, but they also started to do simple things like limiting the number of guns you could carry around to like 2. And there's recent titles such as Operation Flashpoint that's just come out as well, and that's really pared the whole game back to just the bare essentials. So that's kind of given a bit more of a strategic element to these games. You really need to start thinking about them. You really have to start engaging your brain kind of a bit more. And recent titles have started to push this realism even further, and they're quite extreme, but there's a title that Ubisoft have just released, which is a survival game called I'm Alive. And that encourages you to use nearby materials and objects as weapons. And that's something we're seeing in the real world too. There's a lot of survival courses in the real world that are booming now. People are wanting to know how to be able to cope in those types of situations. So this kind of shows that we've got quite a strong desire for these immersive and realistic experiences. So for us as designers and us at Seymourpowell, it means that we've actually got quite a big opportunity. We've obviously historically been product innovators as well. We've got a lot of grounding in that, the design of the physical object, but the design of that experience is becoming even more important. An experience starts from the moment you open the packaging rather than a mobile phone that you get and you're just admiring it as an object. And just as technology marches on, we expect to see many more products and services that are starting to use this highly immersive kind of the thirst for that, I suppose. So this will undoubtedly change the industry and even down to how the skill sets are being taught. So as the experience becomes much more or equally as important as the product design itself.